Hi, this is Juliana, and today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little pair of earrings. I like to call these the sun and moon earrings because even though they're little moon faces, you can do a color variation and make it look more like a sun. But you can also do these come in multiple colors, so you can do them in different colors. And also, you can do them with different beads. So like these have a delicate picot on them, and these have a round Miyuki picot on them. So as do these. These have the 11 O's on the picot. These just have all 15 O's. So once you get the technique down, you can kind of make them your own. And even though I like to call them sun and moon, I thought it might be cute if you made this moon one in some brighter silver to mimic this and wear one of each, and then you literally have a sun and a moon earring. Anyway, they're very versatile, they're very easy, and they're fairly quick, and they're cute. So what you're going to need to make these are a stop bead, 11O Miyuki, this is this one we're making today, the 11O Delicas, and 15O Miyukis, and a pair of ear wires. And I like to use wire guardians on my earrings, as you can see here. And some of my necklaces, honestly. I just like that they protect the thread. So wire guardians if you have it. If you don't, you can always make a little bead loop to hang your earring on. Also, I don't know, y'all, I think this is a size 12 needle. But you can see how I keep my needles, so they get a little bit jammed up. So I don't really know which one it is, but it looks pretty skinny. And what I tend to do is just use whichever needle I think is going to work best on my project. This is kind of a tight squeeze with some of this, so that's why I'm using a smaller needle. Anyway, yeah. And also, I used a 6-pound fire line, about a wingspan. You probably could use a 14 on it. I don't know if that would make much of a difference, but I tend to use 6-pound on almost everything, so there it is. Okay, let's get started. I don't know why I always forget to mention the star of the show when I mention supplies, but you do need these little moon beads because not really an earring without them. Okay, so we put a stop bead on your fire line. I leave about a 4-inch tail so that you can weave it in later. And go ahead and pick up your moon bead and slide that on down. And we're going to pick up 15 of our delicas. Go ahead and double check those. Make sure you've got 15. And slide them on down to your moon bead. And we're going to go around to the bottom of the moon bead and up through that bottom hole. I hope you can see that. Pick up another 15 delicas. Slide them down. And go back up through the bottom hole again. Move that tail thread bead down a little way out of the way. Go Go through the beads you just added. Be careful not to miss any. When you get to the bottom where there's a gap there and where your thread's coming out of that moon bead, you're going to pick up another delica and go through the other side. Make a little bead bridge. Like that. And keep working your way up the other side. Until again you come to the end of that row, that side, and you're hitting the place where the threads are coming out of the moon bead hole. Pick up another delica and go through about 2 beads on the other side of that. Pull that snug, and then you have something that looks like that. Okay. Now we're going to peyote. So we're going to pick up 1 bead, 1 delica, and we're going to skip this next delica and go into the one after that. And I'm going to pull that snug, and you should get something that looks like that. 2 beads, those 2 delicas sitting next to each other. So we're going to do it again. Pick up a delica, skip the next delica, and go into the one after that. Pull it snug, and you might have to finagle a little bit to get those 2 beads to sit next to each other. All right, one more time. Pick up a delica, skip the next bead, and go into the one after that. And pull it snug. And we are going to do that all the way around. And then when we get close to the end of that peyote, that first peyote, I will meet you back here. I am coming to the end of my peyote stitch here with my delicas. I have 1 left, so I'm going to skip that next bead and go into the following, just like we've been doing. And then I'm going to go catty corner and finagle that bead into one of my pair here. If you like to do counterclockwise, you want to go into that bead on your left. And if you like to do stitch clockwise, you go into the bead on your right. Because we're going to do more peyote on both sides, so it doesn't really matter which one you start with. So I'm coming out of that pokey outy bead. That's a technical term that I just made up, pokey outy. And we're going to pick up a 15-0 and go into the next pokey outy bead. 15-0. Next, pokey outy bead. 15-0. Next bead. We're going to do that all the way around, and then I'll see you at the beginning. I'm at my last 15-0 here. I'm going to go through that delicate bead and the 15-0. To step up. And that's what your little moon should be looking like right now. And we're going to add another round of 15-0s. So I'm going to go pick up a 15-0, go to the next 15-0. Pick up a 15-0 through the next 15-0. Next 15-0. Do that all the way around, and I'll see you when we're done. I am coming to my last 15-0 here. Got it loaded on my thread. So I'm going to go through that next 15-0 and the one next to that. And now I'm going to turn that on its side, coming out of this 15-0 right here. I'm going to go down that 15-0. That one right next to the 15-0 I'm coming out of. Well, the 15-0 and the delica. Pull that snug. I'm going to flip it over. I'm coming out of that delica right there. I'm going to go right into the delica next to it. Pick up a 15-0 and go into the next pokey outy. 15-0 and go to the next pokey outy. And again, we're going to do that all the way around. And I'll see you at the beginning. And at my first round of 15-0s, I'm going to go through that delica there and into the first 15-0. We're going to do the same thing on this side we did on the other side. Pick up a 15-0 and go into the next 15-0. 15-0 into the next 15-0. And again, we're going to do that all the way around. And I will see you on the other side. I have finished my second round of 15-0s. So I'm going to go through that last 15-0 and into the 15-0 right next to it. You can schmooze that. That's another technical term. Schmooze that around your little bead there as needed. Pull that snug. And now we're peyoted on both sides. I went ahead and threaded my tail thread and took my stop bead off, just to spare y'all watching that. If you know how to weave a thread in, just go ahead and do that. If you don't, you can stand by because I'm about to show you. So just pause it, get your needle on, get your bead off, and we're going to figure out where we're coming out of. Looks like I'm coming out of this bead right here. So I'm going to turn it over. Coming out of this bead right here. And I'm just going to go into the bead in front of it. And then the bead in front of that on the zigzag. The bead in the middle in front of it. The other bead on the zigzag. And then I'm going to come back down through the bead, coming out of that bead, come down this bead that's next to it, and go back the other way. Through that one. And look, I got 3 of them. You can get 1 or 2 or 3, whatever you can catch with your needle there. Go back through that way. Down another 1 or 2. I'm going to go to the bead adjacent to it and go back up a couple. If you do that with a peyote, that pretty much knots it off for you, especially if you crisscross over where you've gone before. So I feel like that's pretty secure. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that tail thread. Now we just have our working thread on. We're coming out of this 15-0 right here. We're going to go to the, looks like the bead next to it might be that middle bead right there, which is good because we kind of want to be coming out of one of those anyway. One of the lone middle beads. We're going to pick up a delica, and you're going to skip the double bead right here and go to the next single bead in the middle and go through that one. And that bead's just going to sit on top of those 2 beads. Pick up another delica, skip your double bead, go to the next single bead. Pick up a delica, skip your double bead, go through the next single bead. And we are going to do that all the way around, creating these little spokes on top of your piece. I guess if you can see that. And I will see you back when we're finished with that round. I am putting on my last little spoke here. Coming out of the middle bead, the center bead, and going into that next center bead. And when I do, I'm going to try to get up to the spoke as well. That may or may not work. If you can't, you can just do them one at a time. I got through both. All my little spokes on. Now I'm going to pick up 3 delicas and go into the next spoke bead. 3 delicas into the next spoke bead. Three delicas and into the next spoke. And we are going to do that all the way around. And I will see you back. Alright, I've got my last 3 delicas on, and I'm going into that next spoke bead, the last one. And I'm going to go up one more bead on our little picot there. And I'm going to skip that middle bead and come down through the 3rd bead in the picot. And that spoke bead too. Go up the 1st bead in the picot. Mind your thread. Skip the middle bead. Go down the 3rd bead. And into the spoke bead. Up the 1st bead. Skip the middle bead. Go down the 3rd bead. And the spoke bead. And we're going to do that all the way around. Alright, I finished enhancing that little picot all the way around. And I'm going to tell you, this little moon bead can slip around sometimes. I just slip it back into place when it slides around. And once I'm finished, like this one doesn't really slide around much, but you can slide it around if you really want to. If it slips, I just push it back into place. Doesn't really happen very often. This one, I went ahead and dabbed a little glue on the inside corners on both sides so it doesn't go anywhere. And I can show you how to do that if you're interested when we're done here. So you can kind of straighten out your little picots and finagle your moon where you want them. I'm going to pick up an 11-0, and I'm coming out of that middle spoke bead right there, and I'm going to go to the next middle spoke bead. Pick up an 11-0, go through the next middle spoke bead, pick up an 11-0, and through the next middle spoke bead. And we're just adding this nice little embellishment right here, and do that all the way around, and we'll be back. I've come to my last little 11-0 here, and I'm going to go through that and the next 11-0 embellishment bead. Then I'm going to go up through the next little spoke bead, and then here's where you kind of want to find the center of your moon. I think for me it's going to be this one right here, this little picot. On this one, it was a little valley that was the center. But on this one, it's a peak, the peak of the picot. So I'm going to go up through the 1st bead, the 1st delica in that picot. if I can get my needle in there. Okay, and then I'm going to pick up my wire guardian, slide through the first arm of that, and slide it on down, and then go through the other side, and into that third delicate bead on the picot. So we are skipping that center bead. I'm going to pull, and when I pull, I'm going to make sure that loop of thread goes over the wire guardian and pull it snug. And it should look like that. Or if you have a valley, it should look like this. So now I'm just going to go through that 11-0 embellishment bead. Basically, you just want to reinforce this and follow your thread path to do that. Back up the delicate bead that gave me such a hard time, and apparently is going to give me a hard time again. Ow! Okay, I got myself. Talk about bleeding for your art. Back up through the wire guardian. I'm a little shaky after that stab. And then down through the other side, the other arm of the wire guardian, and through the next delicate. Pull and make sure your loop stays on top. It likes to slide off the top of those wire guardians. The thread does. And you can do that again, and I probably will, to reinforce it. And then we're just going to weave our thread through the peyote weave, just like we did before, through all the peyote beads, and clip it off. And then this little earring will be done. If you're interested, I can show you how I added glue to my sun bead. I traditionally hide my sun from my granddaughter, so sometimes it's hidden from me too, because she likes to glue everything in the house. And also, though I thought I was prepared, apparently I'm not, because I need to find my toothpick, which is what I use for gluing. Even though, you know, you can use anything for that. Sometimes I use a wire, sometimes I use whatever's handy. But I like using toothpicks, which I also have to hide from my grandchild. So a little dab of E6000. And just pop your little moon bead out of the way and slip that glue right in there in the side of your beadwork. And pop that back in. And you could probably just do one side and get away with it, but I did both sides. I did the other side too. And once you get your glue in there, you want to make sure your moon bead is sitting the way you want it to sit. that it's central in your beadwork before you let it dry. And if you get any glue on the moon bead, just wipe it off while it's wet. Although E6000 does dry very clear. So once you've reinforced, weave your thread in, and then clip it off or burn it off, and add your ear hook. And there you go. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share with your beady friends, and hit the notification bell so you can see more videos like it. And please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Thank you for joining me. I enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Bye.